So today's Cardinal lesson, we're talking about retirement income, which lasts a lifetime. And that's a mouthful. So we're going to start an income, and that income is guaranteed by an insurance company that the checks are going to keep coming in as long as either one of you is alive if you're a couple. And if you're a single, you're going to buy this thing, and you're actually going to get more out of it. And you're going to start getting checks at the date you choose, monthly checks or annual checks you choose. And then once that check starts, it's not going to stop until you're deceased. So I want to bring Tom on, and I want Tom to tell you why we're doing this video today.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing this video because I cannot tell you the number of people who walk through our door that we're helping with financial planning that have lots of money, right? I mean, they've done well, they have saved well, but when we listen to them speak, it sounds like they're broke. It sounds like they have nothing. They have no income. They don't know how to pay their bills. And it really is shocking sometimes when we look at these scenarios and it's like, what are we talking about here? And so really what it comes down to is they don't have an income, is they don't have money coming in like they're used to from a paycheck. They're used to not touching their investments, and they're afraid to spend it because they're afraid of running out. And so what these annuities can do, just with a portion of your money, can set up money coming into your household as an income that then is guaranteed for the rest of your life, or if you're married, both of your lives. And so really we want to go through and show you some examples of how we can do that, and we have some in the show notes here. So let me bring those up. You can find these at the link below our video. They're also on our website at cardinalguide.com. We have the board as always, and we'll get into more of the specifics as we go through the board here. But we have some. This is again, it's an immediate annuity. This is the one that starts. We have software where we can show you different companies based off who's offering the best rate. So we've sort of put that in the show notes so you can see kind of what the top carriers are offering, at least as of right now. And then the next couple illustrations are sort of the deferred annuity. Again, we'll get into more specifics as we go through the board. But if you want to look at real specific numbers that we have on the board and tie them back to the illustrations, you can find those in our show notes here. So I'll turn it back to Hans. We'll go through the board and we'll give you more of the specifics that you can find in the show notes.
Okay, so what we're showing you today are the tools that we use with many clients to build a financial plan. But I want to tell you, these annuities are not a financial plan. They're part of a financial plan, or they're a tool that we use to create a financial plan and to complete a financial plan. And we've done them. We have 3 different annuities, and we've done them in the denomination of $100,000, so that and we sell a fair amount of $100,000 annuities, maybe because we put them in the videos, and it's just kind of the first number we go to. But we also do a lot of 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. We have some people buy these in the denominations of $1 million and larger. So for the purposes of today, I want to show you the numbers for 65-year-olds, either a 65-year-old couple or a 65-year-old single. And we're going to show you so that you could do the math yourself. And if you're older than that, actually these numbers are better the older you are. If you're younger than that, they'll be less, but not a lot less if you're in your 60s. And we can run you an illustration, and we won't run it for 100,000. We'll run it specifically for what you're looking for. But I want you to just be able to look at these and try to simplify them to a degree today. So let me show you the first one. This is $100,000 that a couple would put in now, and they would put it into the annuity. And the whole idea of these things is you let the money sit for a while. You don't have to. Is this couple that's 65 years old put $100,000 in there? They could start an income immediately of $519 a month, or $6,230 a year. And if you were really going to start the income immediately, we typically would not sell you this product. We'd have another one that would pay out more immediately than this. This one really works best if you let the money sit there for 5 years or longer. Okay, and so let's take an example of that. Is this couple that's 65, if they left the money sit there till they're 70, until they're turning 71, which is at the end of the 5th year, which would be 2030, they could start an annual income of $11,040 a year. And once they start that annual income of $11,000 a year, it's guaranteed that that will come in as long as either one of them's alive. So if one of them passes away at 82 and the other one lives to 95, this is going to be one of the best decisions they ever made. Or putting that in simple numbers, monthly numbers, $920 a month. So if you bought 500,000 of this, that'd be 4,500 a month, and the 4,500 a month would come in every month for the rest of both of their lives. So again, if one of them lived 30 years beyond that, this is going to be one of the best decisions they ever made. Now, if you have a single person, 65, and it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, with a lot of annuities it does, but with this one, in this category, it doesn't. So you have a 65-year-old single would put the money there, and they would wait 5 years to start taking the money. It'd be $1,017 a month or $12,200 a year for life. So this is a way we can create an income, and we typically don't start with an amount of money and show you how much you get. What we do is we start with a desired income to start at a point in the future, like $3,000 a month or something like that. And then we would just say we need 300,000 to go into this thing. And then we'll know we'll have about 3,000 a month for life starting at age 70. So this gives us the tools for creating a future income that you can't outlive. Okay. Now I want to bring Tom on, and I want to see if Tom has got anything more to say about this piece of it before I move on.
Yeah, with these particular annuities, if you go back through the show notes, these are the Midland National annuities. If you're looking through there, one of the things that often people will get a little bit mixed up on is when you put money there and you purchase this annuity, you don't tell them on the front end when you want the income to start, right? You can choose that down the road, and so when we're building out a plan, we have a desired idea when we want it to start it because we've built it based off this income. But life happens, things can change. You could start it sooner, you could wait later. There's a lot of flexibility on how you start that. One of the other nice things about this particular policy, and it's just built into the contract, is that if you are unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, so if you were to get sick later on, there's a chance that income could double. There's more specifics there. I don't want to get too far into the details on that, but you could have the income doubled to help cover that additional cost needed to pay for your care. So it's not long-term care insurance, but it does bring in additional money into the household to help pay for needing some type of care. So that's a nice added benefit that just comes with the policy. It's included. You don't pay anything extra. And so a lot of times it's a really nice sort of cherry on top of what we're doing here. And so I think these can be really effective in creating that future income that then again is guaranteed for the rest of either your life or both your lives if you're married.
Okay. So that's the tool we're going to use for future income. And we don't always use this company. I mean, we have a whole bunch of companies that sell something similar. And so we use that software you saw in the show notes to pick out this. We go in and we find the one that is going to give you the most income. This just happens to be the one that's on the top of the charts now, or very close to the top. And this feature that Tom just talked about is fairly unique to them, is how it pays out. So we have a bias toward this because a lot of people really like this enhanced long-term care benefit. Okay, so that's the future income. Now, what about if I need a check right now? And this is the product that we use to get a lot of people to delay their Social Security check. I mean, a lot of these people that Tom was talking about that have a great amount of retirement savings, large amount, and then they have other savings, and they're usually coming into us talking to us about Roth conversions. Boy, they want to hear about all of that because they're worried about taxes in the future of the IRA. But we're going to put before that, what are their income needs? And we get in touch with that. A lot of them are really troubled by that. And some of them, it causes them to take Social Security earlier than maybe they have to, just because they want to have some income coming in. This is the product that we use. The minimum size they'll sell it in is 5 years. So you could make this payout for more years, but 5 is the shortest they'll go. And it works pretty neatly for people that are in their mid 60s that want to delay Social Security. 100,000 will spit out $1,843 a month starting next month and going on for 60 months or 5 years. It's just that simple. It's not a real exciting product, but instead of getting your Social Security check, let's say that a person put in 300,000 in this thing. That's about 5,400, 5,500 bucks a month coming in. It's essentially them paying themselves, and it starts an income immediately, and it's pretty hard to beat. And it's going to stop at that 60th month. So we use this as a Social Security replacement. We also use it when somebody really wants to get immediate income out of this kind of thing. And we find that we can get them more income by combining one of these that lasts 5 years, one of these that we delay the start of the income till the 6th year. And when you put those two things together, you're going to get more money, and you're also your principal's retained for longer. So if you met an early death, there's going to be payments to your beneficiaries. So I don't want to get overly deep into that, but a lot of people coming into us, they're going to buy a combination. They're going to have this to create the immediate income, this to pick up when this one stops. But we do have people that have got their retirement income going. Maybe they're even a little older than 65 or 70, and they're concerned about their money doing this. They want a greater income. Or they're people in their mid and early 60s. They haven't retired yet, and they're just wanting to plan so when they do retire, and so they can wait the 5 years and do this in some denomination and skip this. So we got a couple of examples we're going to jump into, and what we've shown here is a couple doing 700,000 and a single doing 700,000 of a combination of these things. And then down on the bottom, we've got a $300,000 example. Well, why are we showing? Well, some people don't have this much money, for starters. Some people have this much money, but they're not wanting to commit that much money to income. I mean, seldom do we put more than about 40% of a person's retirement savings into this strategy. So I want to get that clear. We're not talking about taking all your retirement money and dividing it up between this and this, because that just wouldn't be, that would leave you with no money invested. I mean, typically we're using the asset allocation to fixed income. So when people ask us to manage their money, or they don't, we're going to look at a lot of folks at retirement are invested in a 60-40 allocation. There's 60% stocks and equities and 40% fixed income. And we're talking about the 40% here. And we're going to take that and deploy it into an income strategy. So we're going to make that fixed income really do something for you, and then add a kicker on it that the fixed income is going to generate an income for life, even if the money out of the fund depletes itself. So it's a pretty nice strategy to have. So let's talk about the $700,000 that this couple puts in there. We're showing $200,000 in the SPIA, which is, SPIA stands for Single Premium Immediate Annuity, by the way. So that's going to produce $36.87 a month for this couple for the first 5 years. And when that stops, they've put $400,000 into this product over here, and the $400,000 is going to pick up the $36.80 a month, and it's going to then pay that for the life of both of them. And then we've thrown an additional $100,000 policy of this same thing, but on this one they're going to wait 10 years or till the 11th year and get an extra $13.47 a month. So their income in the 11th year is going to go from $36.80 a month up to about $5,400 a month. So that's an inflation kicker that they're going to use for $100,000 in there. And by the way, once they buy this, they don't have to stick to the time they start this. We can work with that 5 and 10 years from now. But this is the plan from the beginning. For a single, the money distribution is the same of the 700,000, but it's going to produce the same income right out of the box because the SPIA doesn't matter. There's no life contingency on that. It's $36.87 a month. But this single person is going to get $44,068 a month for life, starting at age 70 or 70 plus a month. And then they're going to get $14.87 as an inflation kicker in the at age 75 plus. So, and we've done is we've taken $300,000 and done the same thing, minus the inflation kicker, and 100,000 of the SPIA at 1843 a month, 200,000 of the income at 1840 a month, and then down on the single it goes from 1843 to 2034. So once you understand the combination of these things, it's pretty simple. And we have people do much larger amounts than this. We have people do smaller amounts than this. I'm just trying to give you an example how we set up an income, and then that income is going to last for your entire lifetime. Now I want to bring Tom back on, and I know Tom has a few points that he wants to add.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and Hans had mentioned this, but I think it's important to understand that this is built out as part of a larger financial plan. And he's like he said, seldom would we ever recommend taking all of someone's money and doing something like this, right? I mean, really, what we're doing is we're taking a portion of your money really to cover your income, and the rest of it of the money is going to be invested. Because a lot of the questions, especially if you've never really thought about this is a new concept to you. It's like, why is this better than just leaving it invested in the market? And really what happens is while you're still working and saving and have a paycheck coming in from your job, certainly we would think you should invest in the market, have it grow over time, because markets have a tendency to go up, right? We know that over a long enough time period, markets will increase. Now, any given year, it could be down, it could be flat, but when you take a step back and look over time, it's going to go up, and that's why you have the money you do. Is you saved well, you were disciplined, you invested for the future, but now you're to the future, and people change their sort of approach to investing when they retire. And this is really more of a behavioral issue and not less of a numbers thing. But what happens is now people who never were concerned about market fluctuations, they just sort of, it's part of the noise. It's for the future. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to sell it when it's down. Just leave it alone. It's going to do fine. And that's why they have the money they have now. It completely changes at retirement because now they are really concerned about that market fluctuations, right? You have a COVID type event where markets drop really quickly. You don't know where the bottom is. You're freaking out. You sell everything. It's like, I just don't want to lose any more. And then you miss the run back up, right? You miss the recovery. And it becomes people who've been very disciplined investors lose that a lot of times in retirement because they don't have that income that they need. And so what this allows you to do, setting up an income plan like this, allows you to get the income you need to live off of while leaving the other money invested for long-term growth. And it allows you to be still disciplined as an investor, not selling low and buying high, which we know is not what you're supposed to do. You can leave it invested for the future. You have a long time horizon because your income now isn't dependent upon the market growth or market fluctuations do not affect your income because the annuities are producing the income. And that is really a way that we want to approach that. And I think it's a great way to have the money still invested, but have your income covered and enjoy retirement. Do the stuff you want to do, less worried about what the market's doing.
Okay. We do a financial plan for you. We're going to cover all 7 of these areas and apply them to you. And then they all work for and against each other. So what we've been talking about mostly today is creating an income plan and income in retirement. We've talked about Social Security because Social Security you're going to have in addition to this. And this is a way we can delay Social Security using a SPIA, a 5-year SPIA, to get even more Social Security for life. We've talked about long-term care, and I want to point out that this is not sufficient long-term care insurance for 2 people. It's great to have in the absence of any long-term care insurance, but it's not proper planning because you can only really use this for 1 person. I mean, it's going to pay out substantial amount of money, you could use it on two people, but you can't use it on two people at once, and you can't use it for two people for a long period of time, or if long-term care happens when you're very aged and you've been withdrawing. We've talked about 401k and IRA. I want to point out that a lot of folks convert these things to Roth. They start out this annuity as an IRA that's taxable when they dump the money in, but before they start taking the income out, they get it converted. This company will let you convert it in pieces. So you could do, so much a year to spread the taxes out, so that by the time you start collecting income, it's coming out of a Roth, so it's tax-free. It's coming out of a Roth tax-free for life. It's kind of cool. We haven't really talked much about estate planning, but this money doesn't all go away if you die. Is there's a residual benefit, especially if you met an early death, that of the principal balance that's in the thing. And we haven't talked too much about taxes, other than the fact if these are bought with IRA money, you're going to have to pay taxes on that income coming out. But there's some ways we can plan these through Roth conversions, buying them with non-qualified, not IRA money. There's a lot of strategy about taxes mixed within there. So I want to bring Tom back on. I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.